If you grew up around Calderdale, you didn't always need a ghost to explain why things went wrong. Sometimes it was just the house. A draft where there shouldn't have been one, or a latch that never quite caught. A step that creaked even when you're sure you'd missed it. And people would glance at the ceiling or the corner by the hearth and they'd say, "Aye, that." See, in these valleys, folk had a word for it. Boggart. Now, you didn't say it loudly, and it wasn't said to show off. It was just said like you'd say rain, or damp, or bad back. It was just part of the place. A boggart wasn't a grand thing, you see. It didn't need a legend, and it didn't need a face. It didn't even need you to believe in it. It just needed you to live in the same rooms for long enough and to live your life. Boggarts weren't met on mountain tops. They were met in kitchens, in sculleries, in back rooms, the thin passages between the door and the stair. Places where you'd set something down for half a second, turn your back, and it's not there. Not gone, just not there. Milk that turned, despite it being fresh. Tools that vanished and reappeared exactly where you'd looked. And footsteps where no one was standing. Things that were left just out of place. Not enough for you to stop, but enough to catch you out if you hurried. You'd search for your tools, well, your good ones, and you'd find them later, exactly where you'd already looked. Not hidden, placed, like a joke that was too close to your ear. Or, like me, you'd look for your glasses, certain that you'd put them down properly, and then you'd find them later, exactly where you'd already checked. And the worst part was, it was always small enough to make you feel ridiculous. And in Calderdale, people did laugh. Not much, just enough to get on with it. Because when your house was cold, and work had been hard, and you were worn down to the bone, a cupboard door shifting on its own, it wasn't worth making a fuss about. You noticed, you checked it, then you carried on. Because there were things that you didn't do. Not because anyone explained it to you, just because over time you learned. You don't shout challenges into empty rooms. And you didn't swear at the dark in a serious voice. And you didn't boast that nothing frightened you. That sort of talk made the air feel closer. And if you had children, or younger siblings, you didn't tell them horror stories. You told them practical things. Don't rush on the stairs. Don't slam the doors. And don't take what isn't yours and pretend that you found it. And if something goes missing, look properly, then leave it. Because boggarts were said to be touchy. Not evil, just quick to take offence. Some houses, people said, had one from the beginning. Others got one along the way. Some followed a family. Some stayed with the building. It was always the same door and always the same rooms. See, a boggart didn't always feel frightening. Sometimes it felt petty, sulky, like it wanted your attention, but it wouldn't ask for it. A bang from the cupboard when you were trying to eat in peace. Or a scrape upstairs when everyone was sat down. Or a faint shuttle on the landing at the exact moment that you started to forget that the place was old. Yeah. Just enough to bring your mind back to where you were. I mean, you can call it superstition. You can call it old houses and damp. You know, it's the way that the sound carries in the stone. But older folk, they don't bother with arguments. They just altered themselves around it. A softer hand on the latch. A steadier step on the stair. You know, a habit of not leaving things half done. Not because they thought they were being taught a lesson. They weren't. They just knew that a place could turn awkward if you got too comfortable. And that's the thing about boggarts, you see. They're not a story that ends. They're a story that lives with you. In a way that you lower your voice without meaning to. In a way that you glance at the corner before crossing a room. You know, in a way that you check the door one extra time, even when you're sure you've already checked it. See, even now, people in Calderdale, they'll tell you that some old houses have moods. Rooms that never quite settle. Corners where things don't stay put. I mean, they won't call it a boggart. Not out loud. But just listen to how they pause before they say it. Now, if you've ever felt for half a second that a place was paying attention, you'll understand why people used to mind their steps. And if something shifts when it shouldn't, you don't make a fuss. You don't invite it to do it again. You just notice and carry on. That's Giles Narrates, signing off.